What is up, A to Z Sports Philadelphia? Eagles get the win, 23-14 out west in LA. They advance to 5-0, and the Eagles keep on rolling. No, they don't play the prettiest games. No, everything is not pitch perfect, but they find ways to win the football game. Welcome on in to the A to Z Philly post-game show. Hit that like button for another Eagles W. Welcome in. We're live on YouTube, Facebook, everywhere. Be sure to support the show. The Eagles get a W. And man, it was a turn of events in the second half. They absolutely dominated the trenches today. If you had told me coming into this game that Cooper Kupp would go for 5 catches on the first drive, if you told me that the Rams would get off to a start and Nakua would rack up some catches the way he did and that he would score a touchdown, and at the end of the day, if you told me the Rams would only have 14 points, I'd say bravo, Sean Desai. I was frustrated with him in the first half, the way he came out and game plan, but you have to give the guy credit on the way that he made adjustments going into the second half. The Eagles shut out the Rams in the third quarter and the fourth quarter. They limit Cooper Kupp the rest of the game. They don't allow big plays. Now, again, there are things that the Eagles need to improve on. There were some big missed throws by Matt Stafford. It was not perfect, but somehow, some way, as much as we want to complain and sit up here, every single week, the Eagles find a way to win games, and that is what good teams do. In fact, the Philadelphia Eagles are now 5-0 for the fourth time in their franchise history. And oh, guess what? They've now done it 2 years in a row. This will be crucial as they go and play some tougher teams coming up down the line. But, you know, the Philadelphia Eagles completely flipped the script on this game. They stayed within themselves. They got DeAndre Swift going a little bit late in this game, and they utilized their damn weapons. A.J. Brown, I don't know how many weeks I can come up here and say it to you. I don't know how many times I have to preach it. A.J. Brown is one of the best receivers in the league. The amount of separation that he creates, the way he runs with the football, there's literally nothing you can do to stop A.J. Brown. And oh, by the way, guess what? They have another guy named Dallas Goedert, who they finally get going. Nick Sirianni says, yo, we got to start using this guy. We have to start using Dallas Goedert. I mean, he's such a damn lethal weapon, can cut through any defense. What do? They go out in the first drive. They give him 4 catches. They throw a tutty to him. Let's go. Again, wasn't perfect, but the Eagles get a win, and that was a very high-powered Rams offense. Now that they have Cooper Kupp back, that's probably one of the better dynamic duo wide receivers they're going to see in Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua, and they go out and they shut them down completely in the second half. 2 sacks for Jalen Carter, and how about back-to-back sacks from Hassan Reddick to seal off the game? Rams had one more chance to get things going. Hassan Reddick said no thank you. Hassan Reddick said no thank you. Who is your player of the game? What is your take on the game? Drop your thoughts in the comment section. Again, appreciate everybody being up in here. But man, the Eagles stick with their identity. And the identity of this football team is the trenches. The Eagles win or lose games in the trenches. It is the philosophy that Howie Roseman has always predicated this team on. It's what he always focuses on and what he builds. And how about this in the trenches today? The Philadelphia Eagles, how about over 150 rushing yards? Let's look at the offensive side. Over 150 rushing yards, 159 to be exact. They only allow 1 sack against maybe one of the greatest defensive players ever. They don't even allow him to get to Jalen Hurts. I said that they needed to pass protect. Sua Opeta had a hell of a game. They were trying to move Donald around. They had him on Lane Johnson. Nobody would let him through. Now, I will say, Jalen Hurts made some really good decisions. He was pressured a lot today, but he was scrambling. He was rolling out. And Jalen Hurts, who sat up here last week and told you that Jalen Hurts has to utilize his legs. I'm not saying he has to do it all the time. I'm not saying to put himself in suboptimal positions. I'm not saying to go out there and injure yourself. But what I'm saying is Jalen Hurts as a runner is such an effective, integral part of this Eagles offense. It's something that was so key last year, and the Eagles got away from it to begin the season. So what did? They come out, Jalen Hurts, a couple tucks, couple design reads for him, couple draws. Jalen Hurts came out here and he made a couple big third down runs. And oh, by the way, the Philadelphia Eagles were absolutely automatic, going 13 for 18 on third down. 13 for 18. You go 13 for 18 on third down, you're most likely going to win football games. The Philadelphia Eagles were money on third down today. And how about 250 yards, just about 250 yards of offense? Not only in the game, but in the second half. Eagles finished with 454 yards of offense in a game where it felt like they continued to roll down the field. They could not put the ball in the end zone a lot, but they still rack up all of these yards. They dominate time of possession. They do the little things needed to win a game. Not, many turnovers in this game, only one turnover. And that was the Jalen Hurts interception, and that was a stupid throw. All right, I'm not going to sit up here and say everything was just absolutely amazing, but all I'm saying is when you're sitting at 5-0, it's hard to really come together and try to criticize everything, right? Jalen Hurts had a stupid throw to A.J. Brown. Seemed like a miscommunication. A.J., I guess, was thinking back of the end zone. Jalen wanted it back shoulder. Who knows, right? We'll probably hear about it. And there were times in this game, and one thing that really stuck out to me was Nick Sirianni was ripping into Jalen Hurts. But did Jalen get all frustrated? Did he let it take over him? Did he start crying and pouting? No, he sat there like a man, like a leader, and said, you know what, coach, you're right. I got to do better. I think those moments are good for this team. I think they build character, and I think they really help this team long term. How about Jason Kelce near the end of the game? He's screaming at Jeff Stoutland. He's screaming at Nick Sirianni. When Jason Kelce talks, you listen. When one of your leaders of the football team, when one of the best players in the damn league talks, you listen. All these things will help this team get better. People may look at it in a negative, like, there's beef, whatever. The media will probably try to stir up another thing like they did with A.J. Brown. These guys are passionate. They want to win, and they came out here and they dominated up front. And back to what I was saying, the Eagles dominate in the trenches. That is how they win football games. Big performance in the second half by, honestly, both sides of the ball. I like the fact they got Swift going a little bit late. And again, it just felt like there were a lot of long drives in this game. 12 play, 75-yard to begin. Later in the game, they had a 17-play, 83-yard drive. Now, I will say, I was very disappointed at the tail end of that drive. Like I said, Jalen Hurts was not perfect. He missed a wide-open Quez Watkins. A wide-open Quez Watkins in the end zone. That cannot happen. Jalen is still not himself from last year, but he is still putting together these big late-game drives to win games, and that's what I'm happy about. However, he missed Quez wide open in the end zone. That could have been tumultuous for this team. You can't go 17 plays, 83 yards for an 8-minute drive and only score 3. That can't happen against better teams. But he didn't really turn the ball over other than the interception, right? He went on some of these late-game drives and stayed poised. 10-play, 72-yard drive in the fourth quarter. 5 minutes, 49 seconds. They went on these long extended drives. Jalen Hurts being a runner was a big part of it, but again, utilizing all the weapons and just playing smart situational football. There are things I would like this team to do more. They have not had a perfect game. I know we hear it every week and I say it every week, but at the end of the day, they are one of two teams right now that still stand undefeated. This is exactly how you wanted this day to go so far. Eagles win. Giants lose. Washington lost, and man, if those stinking Cowboys get blown away by San Fran, I'm going to party tonight. Please let them get blown away tonight. Please let them get blown away tonight. Who's your standout player of the game, though, man? Give me your thoughts in the chat. We'll read some of the comments. Man, the Eagles get another tough win on the road. I said this in the preview as well. The Rams seemed like they were moving down the field, too. It seemed like the Rams were putting together a lot of drives, but then, boom, third quarter, the Eagles just stepped up and made a lot of big third down plays. And I can't say enough about Jalen Carter, ladies and gentlemen. I cannot say enough about Jalen Carter. Like, he is absolutely spectacular. The Eagles' defensive line continued to push up. They didn't allow any running game. While the Eagles, on one hand, were rushing for 150-plus yards, The Eagles only allowed 54 yards of offense on the other side in terms of running the football. Eagles defensive line won this game. And again, Hassan Reddick with 2 big sacks late. They just had no answer, man. There were a couple inopportune penalties in the third quarter. I thought the Eagles, for the most part, played a clean game. But let me tell you something, Zach Cunningham. You got to stop with these stupid penalties. What was it, last week when he had one inside the red zone? And then this week, he comes out. It's 3rd and 26 on the first drive of the second half. And Zach Cunningham makes a stupid face mask penalty. Can't do that. Cannot do that. That could have come back to bite you. But fortunately, it did not. Again, Swift, although he was pretty much held in check, he still finishes with 70 yards in this game. Obviously, teams now have more of a game plan. They have more of a strategy for DeAndre Swift. But the thing is, when you're game planning for him, oh, you forgot about Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts, 72 yards. And oh, by the way, let me get to one thing that I didn't say yet. You know what's coming, right? Can we get a brotherly shove in the freaking chat? The teams will continue to cry about it. They will continue to complain about it. Guess what? Nobody cares. The brotherly shove is more automatic than maybe any play I've ever seen. And they're trying to get rid of it. They're trying to exile it. Guess what? Nobody gives a damn. If you don't like it, stop it. And if you can't stop it, shut the heck up. Find a way to stop it. It is too automatic. That touchdown at the end of the first half ended up being so important. The Rams go down in 6 plays. They score, right? It's feeling like, uh-oh, here we go. Rams have the momentum. Then the Eagles come back 4 plays. They get it down to the red zone. A.J. Brown, PI on a 1-yard line, or they move it up to the 1-yard line. I was in the end zone. And what do the Eagles do? They say 1 play in the playbook, 2 seconds on the clock. What do? The brotherly shove, baby. They can't stop it. They know it's coming. That's the best part. You see them lining up in the formation. Holy hell. Here we go. Here we go. It doesn't matter. You know why? Because, again, back to my original point. The Eagles have the trenches like nobody else. They have a quarterback that can squat 600 pounds, and they have demons on the offensive line who can't be stopped. That's what it comes down to, man. Jason Kelce, Landon Dickerson, Cam Jurgens, all right? All these guys, Lane, Mailata, they're amazing, and I got to give credit to Sua Opeta. He played a hell of a game, and he kept Aaron Donald away from Jalen Hurts. Let's freaking go, man. Eagles are rocking, and they are rolling. I'm very, very happy that they finally got Dallas Goedert utilized in this game. He needed a confidence boost. And then, for example, you look at a guy like Devontae Smith. Where can they work on the game plan? You got to get Devontae some touches. I agree. Jalen Hurts missed some throws in this game. Had a bad interception. His decision-making still has to get a bit better. But Devontae Smith, man, there was even one point in this game where, Nick Sirianni, they're showing him on the broadcast on the sideline. He's trying to console Devontae like, yo, it's okay. It's been a couple games now where it feels like Devontae's not even utilized. You got to get him going, man. And that's not to say you want to take away from AJ. That's not to say you want to take away from Dallas. But there are so many tools in this bag of tricks. There are so many different ways you can go. And you got to get everybody in a rhythm, man, because Devontae is so talented. AJ is so talented. It's so nice to have this problem. You think back for years and years and years, the Eagles couldn't get a number 1 wide receiver. The Eagles had all these troubles having guys that could catch the football and run after the catch. They have so many that can do it. Now, one guy I would say I'm, more on the out in terms of this week is Quez Watkins. Not to say he's done, not to say he won't get any more chances. That 3rd and 2 early in the game, and you saw Nick Sirianni's reaction. We talked about it at halftime. Nick threw down his headphones, said, "What the F?" That has to improve, man. Quez Watkins on a 3rd and 2. I will say, and I give credit to Brian Johnson, I thought he called a better game. There were still some boneheaded calls in this game, like that 3rd and 2, where you're throwing a little bubble screen. Like, what's the point of that, right? And then Quez Watkins doesn't hit the right hole, and he gets stopped short. That was terrible. That was brutal. And that's what made it start to feel like the momentum was going the other way. But I will say Brian Johnson called a pretty good game. I didn't like the interception play call. I thought that maybe that was just Jalen trying to get force feed it to AJ. Again, there were a couple throws and a couple looks that Jalen missed. But overall, I'd say Brian Johnson called a good game. He improved. I would say that Sean Desai had a hell of a second half. He improved. Brought a couple opportune blitzes at the right times. Threw Stafford off his game. And that boy Jalen Carter, man. Oh, you see the way he threw down Matt Stafford? He absolutely annihilated him. Let's get to the chat, man. Appreciate everybody being in here. If you guys are in the YouTube chat, drop a like. If you're on Facebook, share this around. Thank you so much for being in here. This is the Philly Postgame Live Show, A to Z Sports Philadelphia. If you're not in tune yet, be sure to subscribe everywhere. All platforms, A to Z Philadelphia. We have William in the chat. He says, Hassan Reddick, player of the game. Adam says, fly, Eagles fly. Rich says, ball control was the main key of the game. I love it. Don't know why I'm turning orange, but I love it. Ryan Rowe, what's up, man? Says, Jalen Carter and Hassan Reddick contributing to run the D-line, making plays to block Aaron Donald. And oh, by the way, no Fletcher Cox in this game. Fletch wasn't there, but the Eagles defense steps up in place. It didn't matter. There were a couple missed opportunities in the third quarter. Nicholas Morrow contributed to two of them. He's been playing pretty well, but he did have a missed interception that was tipped up in the air. And then you had a fumble where he could have landed on it. You could have had great field position, and you missed those opportunities big time. You missed those opportunities big time. You got to be better. Got to be better, man. But outside of those, I mean, somehow you still found a way to win the game. I agree. There are things that will catch up to this team. I see Court in the chat. It says red zone opportunities and blown secondary coverage. I agree. Things will continue to catch up to this team if they don't make corrections. But overall, the fact that they muscled through and won this game is impressive. They did miss a lot of opportunities. And yeah, I mean, even though Brian Johnson called a better game, I will say some of the red zone play calling was definitely suspect. I thought there were times where they were way too conservative. There were times they were coming down. They had, a first and goal from the 10. They run it, 2 straight times, and then they let Jalen Hurts try to keep it. I mean, at some point, you got to force the issue, man. You got too many weapons. You have to, make do with what you have. You got to utilize your guys, man. So, yeah, I mean, there's definitely things to work on in this game. But I just like the fact that they finally got some of their guys going, man. That's the biggest thing for me. And they extended drives. They didn't hesitate. And they were at least able to get some points on the board. And the defense has really stepped up big time. I thought Slay had a rough start to this game. And honestly, I thought that he picked it up big time. I thought Bradbury had a pretty good game. They didn't really know what they were doing in the slot to start this game. Goodrich, Job. Saw a combination of guys. Bradley, I don't even know if Bradley Roby got in. I may have saw him for a play, but it felt like Goodrich was the guy they were rocking with today. And yeah, I mean, he held his own, and the Eagles just stepped it up, man. I will say it's definitely huge having all the Eagle fans out there as well on the road. I'm sure that environment was crazy. I'm sure the Rams probably couldn't even hear anything at home by themselves. How about Jalen Carter today, man? Jalen Carter, 2 tackles for loss, 2 sacks, and 2 quarterback hits. Incredible. This guy, I mean, could he potentially make a Pro Bowl? Could he make a Pro Bowl in his first year? That's how good he is right now, man. He's playing absolutely incredible. Chris Moore says nobody got injured for the Eagles. That's a good sign. That is a good sign. Chris's red zone can be improved over time. Yeah, I mean, just about situational play calling and just getting a better feel. But I really, really like, what do you guys think? Should Jalen Hurts ever run the football? I really like some of these plays where he's extending runs. I know he had the 1 3rd down. I think it was like a 10 to 15 yard run where, he was stopped short and he somehow duped the defender. He got hit a couple times and muscled through. Of course, I'm going to be, holding my breath and my stomach's going to drop, but I mean, that is an X factor of this team, of this offense. It's crazy, man. Again, they had a 17-play drive that went 8 minutes. They had a couple 6.5-minute drives. Even with some of these bad mistakes that they made, even with some of the bad penalties and, missing the interception that was tipped up in the fumble, I'm very impressed by the way this team maneuvered through and won games, right? They always say, like, okay, the great teams, the good teams are going to find ways to win games. This team finds ways to win games. Now, I will say, man, next week, obviously, right, the Jets, and then, got a couple teams coming up after where you're like, okay, now it's going to get legit. If the Eagles don't clean up some of these mistakes, yeah, you could lose some of these games coming up. But I would rather much be in the position of, okay, we're 5-0, let's fix the mistakes than, well, you let 2 games slip and you're 3-2, and then your schedule is about to get very, very tough, right? You're going to face some of the beasts. I'd much rather be in the position of 5-0, and you got to clean it up. Nick Sirianni continues to preach. Every week he says, we're not playing our best football yet. We're not supposed to be, but we will clean it up. We will fix it. We will get there. I'd say who's your player of the game? Give me your players of the games in the chat. Again, appreciate everybody being here. I think my players of the game today, number 1 is probably Jalen Carter / Hassan Reddick. Probably Jalen Carter, though, in the defensive line. I think Sua Opeta deserves a game ball. And I know that sounds crazy, but the fact that he was able to keep off Aaron Donald the way he did and really just contribute to maybe the best offensive line performance of the year, I think he deserves a game ball. And I think A.J. Brown, once again, showed up big time, and Dallas Goedert as well. I mean, there's just a lot to go around. A lot to go around. I think Jalen Hurts needs to, make better decisions in these close moments. I think Jalen Hurts tries to, force feed some of these throws. I think he tries to score so quick instead of just letting things play out. Like, I would really love to know that 1st and 10 from the 20, why he decided to throw it to AJ, right? Fading kind of out of bounds with a defender right there. That was a great catch, by the way, a great interception by Witherspoon. I would like Jalen Hurts to kind of just chill a little bit and take his time going down the field. I know the Eagles are trying to hit some of these big plays, and I like that. I really do. But you can't be, to the point where it doesn't make sense to throw that football. And in that situation, I didn't understand it. You were moving down the field and you make a bad interception, and that could have turned the whole game around. Luckily, your defense was so freaking good in the second half, but you can't do that against, say, a Miami Dolphins. They could go right down and score 80 yards, So, personally, that's the main thing that I would like to see corrected about this team. And again, some of the red zone play calling, pretty much. Just more awareness in terms of where you're at in the game, how the game is flowing, and just being able to punch it in the end zone. That's really what I want to see worked on, as well as Jalen Hurts making some better decisions. And again, I like the fact that he's being a runner and helping extend plays. That is the X factor. And when you have to account for all these weapons, it's really hard to stop Jalen Hurts. But again, it's hard for me to sit up here and complain about all these things because they're 5-0. They're 5-0. And I'm very happy with the way the trenches are playing out for this team. I think both sides have been absolutely dominant. JBP in the chat, what's up, says, I like when Jalen improvises and runs the ball. What I don't like is the quarterback draws we keep calling. Teams have watched film and are stopping it. I thought there were a couple draws today where he actually converted them. But yes, I agree. Maybe, more of a play action. Maybe he rolls out, maybe a little bootleg action, and he's like, okay, nobody's open. Let me tuck it and run, right? Quick decision making. And that's another thing. I thought there was a lot of quick decision making early in this game where he was getting the ball out quick to Dallas Goedert. That's how this offense strives, right? When Jalen's thinking so much or he's running around for 20 seconds and then he's almost getting sacked, not throwing the ball away, he's just overthinking. So yeah, maybe Jalen needs to, when it feels right, improvise himself and gain some yardage, right? And if he feels it's right, as long as he protects himself, I think it's a smart investment, man, to allow him to continue to play freely. I'm not on the train of, oh, let's, prevent him from running the football at all. I don't think that's smart. I think that's taking an element away from what makes him very special. I do not like that at all. But that's where I'm at. Polo Ray says we should have had Swift run and work the clock. Cool chases Eagles on top. Philly Tree says A.J. Brown, player of the game. What else do you say about A.J. at this point? I mean, he had a couple big plays, and really, the Eagles had a couple big chunk yardage plays today. More than they've had in prior games, and a lot of it was running after the catch. A.J. Brown had a couple as long as 38. Dallas Goedert, a 49-yard catch. We knew the Rams secondary was not that impressive, and Eagles took advantage of it. So I'm happy with it. Hopefully Devontae Smith can get going. Again, he only had one catch in this game for 6 yards, couple missed throws, and he was getting a little bit frustrated, but that's just, about wanting to be an integral part of this offense. And that's where this Philadelphia Eagles team is at. They're still not perfect, but at least they're finding ways to beat some of these teams. At least they're finding ways to beat some of these teams. I was surprised that Matt Stafford missed a couple big throws late. He had Atwell over the middle of the field. That was probably going to be a touchdown if he converts that. He had Cooper Kupp late on like a little wheel route, it looked like, and he missed him. Got to capitalize on their mistakes. I did not expect Matt Stafford to miss some of those throws, but I am not complaining about it. Elliot Shore Parks puts this on Twitter. Eagles offense today. Again, a little summation here. 454 yards. Had 250 yards in the second half alone. 28 first downs. 13 for 18 on third down. When you are converting like that on third down, I mean, that's incredible. Interception and bad red zone offense kept them from dropping 40. I feel like they could have dropped 35 in this game for sure. But at least they're starting to put together better drives, and the play calling is improving for the most part, other than the red zone. They got to continue to keep it up, man. They got to continue to keep it up. Like I said, Cooper Kupp had 5 catches on the first drive. He ended up with 8. I will take that. He had 56 yards on the first drive. I knew they would try to get him in a rhythm early. Nakua finishes with 71 yards. Really, he was what they had pivoted to, because Sean Desai came out in this game and he had, obviously, Cooper Kupp lined up in the slot. He had Eli Ricks, Mario Goodrich, these kind of guys on Cooper Kupp, and that just was not smart. I don't know why they came out in this game saying, oh, we'll let whoever match whoever. That just didn't make a lot of sense. It's tough to guard the Rams, given that Kupp and Nakua can line up wherever, and Atwell's a deep threat as well, but I mean, you have to put Slay and Bradbury on the top too. And once he moved after that first drive and, mirrored Darius Slay with Cooper Kupp, I thought it made a huge difference. He should have came out and started the game like that. Jake Elliott was money yet again. We didn't mention him because he's always automatic, but Jake Elliott, 3 for 3 in this game. 3 for 3 in this game for Jake Elliott, 2 extra points. I told you he would be a factor. He continues to be money. Jake is, he's just so essential at this point. He has become so, just perfect that we don't even talk about him. But, man, just another big game from Jake. You'd never have to sweat. You don't have to worry about it. Even if he misses a field goal once in a while, he comes back and he nails the next 15. Another incredible game for Jake Elliott. Britton Covey looked pretty good on special teams, had another big punt return, 20 yards. And late in this game, too, Jake tried to squib it down to like the 2 or 1 yard line. He almost had it, actually. But, yeah, I just like the way that this defense played, and I think the confidence and swagger that existed in this second half can continue, and I think it's going to be huge going up against some of these better teams. You look at next week, they're going up against the Jets. Jets are nothing to be worried about, right? The Jets ended up winning today, but they stink. They should beat the Jets, right? And I think the Jets have a pretty good defense, but Zach Wilson is not it. Zach Wilson is not it. Jets are sitting at 2-3 right now. I don't think with the way the Eagles defense played in this second half and knowing Zach Wilson, I don't think Zach Wilson should put up more than 10 points on this Eagles defense. I don't think Zach Wilson should put up more than 10 points. How long can the Eagles go before winning? Before losing. How long can they go on this winning streak? Will it be 6-0? Will it be 7-0, 8-0? How long do you think they can go? Give me your thoughts, man. Give me your thoughts. Before we jump back into it, man, I got to give you a shout out to our sponsor of today's post-game show. Shout out to BetMGM. Enjoy all your favorite sports like never before at BetMGM. Ladies and gentlemen, listen, man. I told you 3 weeks in a row. We got the hat trick. We got the hat trick going. I told you. A.J. Brown hammered the over. It was 74.5. He cleared that by so much today yet again. That's 3 in a row. I'm continuing to rock with A.J. Ever since the sideline incident, he continues to pound it out, man. Shout out to A.J. Brown, but shout out to BetMGM as well. Sign up using the code ATOZPA. Receive up to $1,000 back in bonus bets if you don't win your first bet. When you register with BetMGM, you'll get instant access to parlay selection features, live betting options, player props, and daily boosted odds specials. And with BetMGM at your fingertips, every play and every game matter more than ever. So find out why BetMGM is the king of sportsbooks. Sign up today with the bonus code ATOZPA and get up to $1,000 back in bonus bets if you don't win your first bet. Visit BetMGM.com for terms and conditions. A.J. Brown hit the over. Eagles won. They actually covered. I had them on the money line, but it don't matter, man, because the Eagles continue to muscle out games and win. They continue to win games. Andrew says, I think we are undefeated going into the Kansas City game. Wardell says, have to be careful of this trap game. I hear you, man. They better not lose to the freaking Jets, Wardell. They better not lose to the freaking Jets. Rich says Miami will be tough. Yeah, I watched Miami earlier. I have Tyreek on my fantasy team. He's just tough to stop. I mean, they got the running back. They got Tyreek Hill. They got Jalen Waddle. Tua's just launching the ball all over the place. I mean, Dolphins have a lot of weapons. They're going to be tough to stop. But if the Eagles defense plays the way they did in the second half, I think they can go up against anybody. I think they can match anybody. So we'll see, man. Nonetheless, though, the Eagles get another W. They sit at 5-0. Give me your final takeaways. Give me your main takes in the chat. I appreciate, again, everybody for being in here. We do this every halftime, every post game. We're pumping out content on Instagram, on Twitter, Facebook, wherever you guys are tuning in from, and obviously YouTube. Continue to support the show, man. We continue to grow. Continue to grow. Jalen Hurts fired up. Fired up is Jalen Hurts leaving the field today. He knew this was a big game. The Eagles just continue to own the Rams in LA. I mean, I don't even think it's a home game for LA. It's literally a home game for the Philadelphia Eagles. It's a home game for the Philadelphia Eagles at this point. I'm pumped, man. I am pumped. At the end of the day, Eagles just got to keep on muscling through. They're bound to hit a game where they play bad, but as of now, man, even though they haven't put it together, they continue to grind out these wins. Very lackluster second half. They're going to have to be better. Jalen's going to have to clean up some of these mistakes. But, yeah, man, I mean, just an efficient game from the Eagles in terms of moving the ball. They averaged 7.6 yards per attempt in this game. They still had 160 rushing yards. I mean, it's crazy. And they only had 3 penalties in this game, and they dominated the time of possession by 14 minutes, 37-22, or 38-22, actually. And, man, they probably could have scored 40 in this game. So hopefully we see improved red zone play calling, and hopefully they can iron out some of these little things, man. But you never want to complain about being 5-0. You're sitting in a pretty position right now. and the schedule is going to get harder. They have really the gauntlet coming up in about the next month and a half, so they're going to have to figure it out. But appreciate everybody for tuning in. Once again, this is the A to Z Sports Philadelphia post-game show. We are live halftime and post-game every single game. We drop videos. We put out content everywhere, and I appreciate everybody for tuning in. Hit that subscribe button if you have not yet. If you're on the Facebook channel, come on over to YouTube. We are trying to circulate everybody everywhere, man. Eagles get it done. They win 23-14 in LA. They take over SoFi yet again. And the Eagles remain undefeated. We'll see what happens with the Niners, but as of right now, Eagles are the only team sitting 5-0. That being said, appreciate everybody tuning in. Hope you all have a great rest of your weekend. And as always, I will catch you all on the next one, man. Peace.